The World Export Development Forum is currently underway in Ulaanbaatar. Marking its 20th edition and the first post-COVID pandemic conference hosted by the International Trade Center, WEDF brings together businesses, governments, NGOs, women and youth to foster trade discussions, facilitate business interactions and drive sustainable development.
This year's conference aims to address the challenges caused by multiple crises such as conflict, climate change and COVID-19 pandemic, and rising costs. With a particular focus on developing, landlocked and least developed countries, the event is also addressing the specific needs of Mongolia, the host country.
Thank you. We are co-organizing with our development partners and the United Nations, as well as the High Representative's Office of the United Nations for Landlocked Developing Countries, this excellent forum on World Export Development Forum. We are organizing it under the auspices of the President because it's in line with the presidential foreign policy. Everything that we stand for is also being regarded in this forum. Not only in this session today we are talking about landlocked developing countries, but the entire forum is being organized for the export development of Mongolia and other developing countries. It's a great opportunity to not only for Mongolia but also to all the developing countries and partners coming in for this forum. We are discussing green trade facilitation. We're discussing sustainability. We are discussing organic and digitalization. So organic development and digitalization. So this is all in line with the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, but also it's in line with our Vision 2050. So therefore, this forum as a whole is very important, not only in terms of exposure, not only for creating the platform for these nations and for development partners. This is very important for Mongolia to share knowledge, but also for learning from our partners and from our fellow landlocked developing countries.
The Core 2-Day program taking place on June 27th and 28th features high-level plenary centered around trade diversification and green export opportunities. These discussions explore innovative trade-led solutions to navigate the complex economic landscape and promote sustainable practices.
Okay, thank you very much. It's really been a pleasure to be here in Mongolia. It's my first time. The key aspects that we're looking at, are they going to interpret or you're going to dub it when you're finished? Okay, okay. We're here under the theme, diversifying through digital and green. And the main issue is how do we help the Mongolian government and landlocked developing countries diversify in a new environment, in a new world. We see inequality being one of the major aspects. We see the growth in the green trade and also what that means in terms of new due diligence legislation and the requirements for exports going to Europe, going to the UK. We also see what has happened with the various geopolitical tensions, and Mongolia is in the center of them between, of course, the two big powers. So what we are trying to do is how do we help create a national export strategy for Mongolia? How do we help to work on increasing digitalization for small businesses? How do we help with access to finance? How do we help with trade facilitation and building better trade connections and trade corridors outside of the traditional ones? We're hoping to have business-to-business meetings and also to launch a She Trades, which is our Women's Economic Empowerment chapter here in Mongolia. So that is why we're here.
In addition to the main conference debates, several side events are organized to provide capacity building, insights, networking opportunities, and partnership for small businesses looking to engage in international markets. Noteworthy highlights include private sector consultations specifically tailored for landlocked developing countries, the Young Social Entrepreneurs Competition, and the launch of the Mongolia She Trades Hub, a platform aimed at empowering women in trade.
So today is the first day of the pre-day, the day zero of the World Export Development Forum being organized for the first time in Mongolia. This is a huge opportunity for Mongolia, which was being supported through the United Nations, and especially the International Trade Center, ITC, with support and collaboration with the Ministry for Foreign Affairs, to really create a world forum for enhancing export development. It is even more important for Mongolia and the 32 landlocked developing countries, LLDCs. Given the fact that trade and trade potential has not been utilized in the best possible way for landlocked developing countries, Mongolia's leadership in enabling its trade development is a huge opportunity. So not only does it open doors for Mongolia to be a kind of a leader in this whole area of trade facilitation, trade development, trade, the four facets of trade we're looking at, and in terms of also the transport corridors, the different routes that we're looking at, innovative solutions, how we can really leverage the huge potential that Mongolia and other LIDCs have. Specifically for Mongolia, it's very important because Mongolia is very, very rich in its natural resources and especially mineral resources. 85% of Mongolia's exports is to neighboring countries and to as raw material. The huge economic potential that Mongolia has to really have value-added processed finished products at a higher economic value to be offered to the world. And there we need to find solutions going beyond its landlocked boundaries to find different new innovative approaches, leveraging digitalization, e-trade, e-commerce, and all those processes. So this World Export Development Forum is certainly going to give us, especially for Mongolia and all other 31 other landlocked developing countries, the opportunity to discuss, find solutions, innovative ways to approaches, strategies to really leverage its trade potential.
To further support businesses, the WEDF also features business export clinics offering practical guidance and assistance and training sessions on quality management and market linkages. With the emphasis on trade diversification and green practices, the World Export Development Forum 2023 Ulaanbaatar strives to foster inclusive and sustainable economic growth, offering a platform for collaboration and innovation. As the world seeks to recover from the impacts of various crises, while this gathering of international stakeholders paves the way for a resilient and prosperous future.
This is not only about high returns on investment.